This is essentially a kind of a live look or raw look at our database. Every column across the top represents an attribute that we're collecting data for each individual asset. So every asset gets its own line or its own row, and then the columns across the top represent every attribute or bit of information we know about the device. If we click on the little config wheel here, you can see there's 90 or so, maybe even more than that, attributes that we're either collecting natively or we are receiving through integrations from other systems. All of that data gets compiled and then added as an attribute for an individual asset. So there's an awful lot of data that we're collecting here. And you can use these attributes to create columns within that device table to kind of create custom queries and pretty quickly and easily find the devices that you're looking for. Let me kind of give you one example here. Let's say I wanted to add software or firmware version, right? And then maybe I also wanted to add AP location. So I'll hit apply. And there's a whole different, like a whole number of use cases that we can derive from just adding those couple attributes. But let's walk through kind of a pretty common example. The first thing I'll do is I'll go here to my device type and we'll just really quickly filter by infusion pump. So this is going to essentially list out all the infusion pumps in my environment. I'll, ignore gateways for now. I'll ignore modules for now and just focus in on the actual pump. And in this case, they're PC units because they're an Alaris system. So I've got 1,060 devices out there spread across all my different sites. I can see the different software and firmware versions running, and I can also see where those devices are located. So let's just say from an asset management perspective, I wanted to identify every device running the older version of code. So I can do that. I can click on software version, firmware version, and then I'll unselect, let's say 919 is my, that's the version I want to be running on. 912, I want to locate those. So I went from roughly 1,000 devices to 217. Now I can identify pretty quickly where the last place that those devices were actually seen on the network. I can take this list of 217 devices and I can export that to an Excel or a spreadsheet, or even better, maybe just save this view so I can constantly reference it every time I come back to the table and use this as my working list of devices I need to go perform an upgrade for example, right? So that's just one instance of building a custom table there. You can see based on the number of attributes that we're collecting, and also again, some of that is coming in from the network, right? Or integrations, excuse me. So maybe some utilization data, or I want to take information I'm pulling from my CMMS and integrate that into my custom queries. All of the data is accessible at your fingertips pretty quick, just diving through a lot of different attributes and a lot of different information to pull those devices that you're specifically looking for whatever reason that might be.